because there is, skin, it sags. Because there are muscles, they disappear. You get the drift of it. What is the drift now? What is the drift here?
Impermanence.
That is the main drift, correct. But what is trying to be illustrated here is not just impermanence. The impermanence, the connection of the impermanence to the partite nature of the body. That is what we have to grasp here. Yeah. Because the impermanence is directly connected, brilliant Adi Shankara says, to what? To the fact that anything that has parts has to be impermanent, because parts is equal to attributes. Attributes are always in a state of decline, correct? Yeah. So that's why it's impermanent. Anything that has parts is impermanent. But here we are talking of that. How many parts Brahman has?
No parts.
No parts?
Yes,
Impartite, So therefore it has no parts. No loose screws, figuratively or really to be counted. You cannot say Brahman has one screw loose. Yeah, you can say that about people, but you cannot say that about Brahman. Why? No screws, no threads, no nuts, no bolts. Brahman cannot go nuts, and because there is no parts. And so when there are no parts, how can it decline? It's not possible. That which is impartite cannot atrophy, and it is impartite because it has no attributes, because the parts make the attributes. So if it is, it's very interesting connection. It is impartite, Adi Shankara says, because it has no attributes. And because it has no attributes, it cannot decline. Because only that which is, made into parts declines. Understood?
Yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
Even if you want to say no, say yes. And so then what happens? Then a very interesting things happen. Sound is also choppy now. Yeah, log out in and back on. Good luck. Yeah.
It's because this is up and running.
Told you that which has attributes declines. So, and then he goes into a very innovative treatise on decline, on the kinds of decline. So he says the first, he identifies 3 kinds of decline. One is called, don't be scared, Swanga Apachaya. Swanga Apachaya means the decline of one's own limbs. When you see the limb first hanging out and then it falls off, especially if you are on it, So this is called the decline of one's own limbs, like the tree. So the tree which is struck by lightning, for example, I saw one such tree. One side of it is struck by lightning and the intelligence just shifted to the other side, like a stroke, person with a stroke. The whole brain shifts to the other side, of which is not damaged by the stroke. And then what happens? That side flowers, is green, and this side is in decline. This is called Swanga Apachaya. Ching to gather, apa plus ching to fall off, to decline, to not gather. Apa means wrong, wrong gathering means decline. So apachaya, means gather, means to disperse. Apachaya is disperse. Upachaya means to buttress. Yes. Upachaya means increase, apachaya means decrease. So swanga apachaya means the decrease caused by an internal combustion, self-combusting. There is an internal process of, a little nuclear cloud, because there are certain body parts and certain body parts are weaker than the other parts, or lightning strikes one part and the other part, one part dies, the other part, is holding the fort. Like this, because there are body parts, it is subject to decline. But then he says, Anangasya swanga apachayah nasti. It cannot, Ananga means without any limbs. So Brahman is apanipadam, he's going back to that. Apanipadam doesn't have hands, doesn't have legs. Achakshu, Ashrotram doesn't have eyes, therefore doesn't need glasses, and therefore cannot have any kind of apachaya. Doesn't need a walker because it doesn't have any hands and legs. But it is sarvagatam and it is sentient. It is that sentience which is formless and nameless. And how can the nameless and the formless be subject to decline? Because it's already talked about as limitless. So the first source of decline is what is called swanga apachaya, swa anga apachaya. Swa, one's, anga is what? Limbs, apachaya, dispersing, decrease, and atrophying. So that source of destruction is not there. And then because why? And we have to find the reason. Each time we have to tell the reason. Anangatvat, because it doesn't have any limbs. What is the next source of destruction? He talks about that as well. The next source of destruction is kosha apachaya. So first one was what? Swanga apachaya. Second one is kosha apachaya. What is kosha? The treasury of reserves. So one form of apachaya is what? One form of decrease is your own limbs refusing to cooperate. You tell the hand, come up and wave. The hand doesn't come up. Correct? And it doesn't do that at all. And then you make the hand come up and you try to make it wave, but it doesn't cooperate. This is what is called swanga apachaya. And then what? Kosha apachaya means like a marathon runner who has run, 5K. Sometimes they run like this. And they run like that, and after that you say, oh, there was a mistake in this marathon. You please start running again. Are they able to run? No. Swanga apachaya is not there. Their limbs are intact. What has gone? The reserves. Yeah. So you need to replenish the reserves because the reserves have become apachayified. Yeah. The reserves are gone. This is called kosha. Kosha means reserves. Like even the king's treasury or the United States treasury, which is in trillions of dollars of apachaya, debt. Correct? So this is the second way something can be destroyed in terms of power. The power leaves you. So now how can Brahman, which doesn't own any power, which is powerful without owning anything or without the use of energy drinks, Gatorade, etc., it is already powerful. Then how can it have apachaya? How can it have a decrease of power? Let's say creation takes a divorce from Brahman and runs away from Brahman. Is that a kosha apachaya? No, because creation cannot leave Brahman. Why? Creation is codependent on Brahman. Creation is dependent upon Brahman. Brahman is certainly not enabling the creation. Pun intended. The creation is really as though it's a projection of Brahman, just like your own dream. The dream is dependent on you. The dream cannot leave you, run away from you. Because why? You sustain the dream. So too this Brahman sustains the whole creation. So the creation cannot run away. Even if it were a, what is that called? It's a rogue creation. I love this word. It's a rogue, rebellious creation. And the rogue creation splits off from Brahman and takes off. Is Brahman going to sit and cry and feels like, oh, my treasury I have been robbed, and Brahman is going to the police and lodging what is called in India an FIR, the first information report. What is the first information report? My possession, there it goes, it has gone. What has gone? Creation. So that even then Brahman is not going to cry or try to repo the creation, because really it doesn't possess it. So only when you don't possess something, how can you repo something that you don't possess? So neither is the creation impounded, nor does it need to be repossessed. It just is, just as Brahman is. The creation is a dream-like projection. Just like even in your own sleep you project a dream which you sustain, the dream world, so too this created world is nothing but something which is sustained by Brahman. So the second source of destruction and apachaya is knocked off. You know why? Because there is no possession. So your reserves that you possess cannot be robbed from you, because Brahman does not possess anything. And then the third source of apachaya is called guna apachaya. Guna means attributes. The attributes start atrophying. Brain goes, something or the other goes, attributes go. Because the luster goes, the shine goes. Like you say that, the glitter has gone from this. Something that has some kind of a paint, shiny paint. And then you buy it and bring it. And then the paint has chipped off in time. The attributes have gone. It's like sometimes, you find in India, when the elderly people go for a walk, they go together and then they sit down on a compound or a park bench, because how much will they walk? They are elderly. So after a while they sit down, and since there are 3 or 4 of them, they start reminiscing. Oh, those were the days. When I was young, I had won the jalebi competition. Jalebi eating, milk drinking competition in my village in Punjab, says one. They have this regularly. Jalebis are another horror, caloric horror. Again, when the combination of fry and sugar comes together, very interesting. So first you take all-purpose self-rising flour, and you put some saffron originally, but now you can get some orange food grade coloring. You mix it, and you mix it with some milk and everything. Heat up the oil and put it in a little kind of an icing. You know how you put in the olden days, those icing bags were there, like a bag with a little hole in it, and make these squiggles, and you call them jalebis. You fry them, and then you have a special stick just to fish them out, because they are delicate from the oil. You can see them in Rishikesh, right outside the ashram they make them hot. And then there is a thick as molasses sugar syrup waiting, into which they get dunked, stick and all. Yeah. And then it is dried out on another pan and then sold. And then they have competitions. Because this used to be the traditional breakfast in parts of Punjab, with jalebi with 2-3 glasses of milk in the morning, sometimes dunked in. Yeah, and then, so now they have competitions, jalebi eating competition. So one elderly person is telling the other, in those days I could down 85 jalebis in one go, and I was a jalebi eater. I was the winner of the competition. Now, even if I think of jalebi, I have to run to the bathroom. This is what one old person is saying, And the other one says, oh, that is nothing. Because the other gentleman is from South India. I won the chakli eating competition from my state. What is chakli? Murukku. What is murukku? That these little spiky, piped also. The only thing is, only saving grace is that it's not then dunked into sugar syrup. It's a savory thing. It is fried all right. And then he says, I ate, 112 murukkus. And now I can't even think of them. Like this they are talking. This is called guna apachaya. All the things you were famous for. All the things the world knew you for. Oh, you used to do this so well. Oh, now nothing. Oh, all gone. Those were the days. And this is what, the romantic poets composed poetry about. William Butler Yeats, what does he say? I heard the old men say, everything that I knew has dropped away by the waters. He heard by the waters they were sitting, these old men, and he heard them say that. Short poem, very meaningful, beautiful. They were all Vedantins. It's amazing. And so this is what is called Guna Apachaya. And little does this old man who is, recalling the jalebi competition. Little does the old man here in this example know that the one who is observing the lack of ability to eat the jalebis is the constant one. And there is no sorrow there because there is no apachaya there. So I have to go back to this place of what? No apachaya. Because the gunas come and go. Gunas come, gunas go. I outlast the gunas because I don't have gunas. The I doesn't have guna. And it is its saving grace. No attributes for Brahman means no atrophy of those attributes. So Brahman does not have to recall feats. Oh, I was celebrated. I was a celebrity. Now I am a zero. I am nothing. I used to be so many fans I had. And now not a single fan comes to Brahman. Doesn't have to do that. So the three sources of apachaya decrease. One is decrease by its own atrophy, because of its own limbs going bad, the whole thing goes bad. And then decrease of its reserves, and then decrease of its visheshanas or adjectival descriptions that are associated with it. And these are the three sources of destruction. When these three things are even not there, how can those sources of destruction attack it? Adi Shankara gives a little treatise on what is the cause and what is the subject to destruction. Very nice. Further, yad evam lakshanam bhutayonim bhutanam karanam prithvi iva sthavara jangamanam paripashyanti sarvatah atmabhutam sarvasya aksharam pashyanti dhiraah dhimantah vivekinah. Yeah. Yat means that, evam lakshanam, endowed with these qualities. What qualities Brahman has? Endowed with these qualities of non-qualities. That's the only way to take it. That's why we cannot translate in Sanskrit. Evam lakshanam means thus described. Thus described as what? Undescribable. Yes, where the words are committing suicide, they are not able to do this. And everything is just, at a standstill. Because, and thankfully the words don't have to describe that which is self-revealing, which is you. Words don't have to describe you because you know, you are, and you are now. I am now, I am now. Remember the constant. That constant refrain alone is enough, and that refrain is self-propelled, self-produced, self-revealing, self-lit up, whatever you want to say, self-evident, self-effulgent, just many words to describe the same thing. And so it doesn't need some other person to describe. How dare anyone have the temerity to describe me? I am self-revealing, nobody needs to describe me. And what is the only thing that you can say about Brahman is that it is undescribable. That becomes a description. So the one who knows Brahman thus, Brahman qualified by the description of undescribable, the one who knows, as what? As one more standpoint is given finally, Bhuta Yoni. Yoni means the cause, source. of all the beings. Bhutanam yonihi. The cause of all beings, the causeless cause itself doesn't have a cause, but it is the causeless cause. And Adi Shankara gives an example. Prithivi iva. Prithivi means what? Earth. Iva means what? Huh? Like the earth. Iva, eva only. Iva, like the earth. Like the earth is the cause of so many different kinds of plants. Same earth grows the lawn, grows the weed, grows the mango tree, grows the big date tree, and grows the bush, grows the small shrubs. Same earth sustains all of them. This manifold and variegated universe, the botanical universe, is sustained by Mother Earth. Just like that, Mother, Father, Brahman sustains all the living, the world of the living, the world of the all beings, Bhuta, not just living beings, all beings, sentient and insentient. It is, it sustains, and then what? And this is what paripashyanti. Pari is sarvataha, we have already seen. Paripashyanti means they see everywhere. They see everywhere, including where? Atma bhutam, including the truth of them, their own self. They see. Sarvasya Atma Bhutam means that I am this cause. They don't see the cause as something outside of themselves. They see themselves as the cause. They are the cause. And then I am everywhere. I am everything. Everything has its being in me. This is like a lullaby. You feel so relieved, you want to go to sleep. It's wonderful, such a relief. Nothing is outside of me. Everything has its being in me. Everything is wonderful. So therefore what? Therefore we have to be very, very careful here in including myself, in including oneself in that which is undescribable, that which is all pervasive, that which is I, here, now, am, existent, knowledge, and then limitless knowledge, limitless existence. I alone can be the source of that. No, but what about you? You are also I. That is the whole thing. That is what is called Sarvatma. The I in you is the I in everything. So the I in everything is what? This is a special kind of knowledge by exposure to the Upanishad gained by these people he calls as Dhira. Dhira is a word of preparation. Dhira means the one who uses the buddhi, one meaning. Because buddhi, the cognitive ability is given to all. The bank robber also, I told you, has a lot of craftiness, has a lot of cunning, and that cunning is intelligence actually. And if you talk of even the local robber in India, they put oil on themselves and they will just wear a loin cloth. The oil helps them slips through the bars of the windows because it's, it has a kind of an unctuous, slippy quality. And the oil is also useful because you try to catch the fellow, slips out. This is what it is. And this was used to be in olden times, And so many stories that we tried to catch this oily robber. Slipped out of the hand. And then, nowadays, they have become even craftier. They buy one small baby monkey, it's so sad, and they train it to climb into the 7th floor apartment and enter into any open window. I mean, if you're living in the 7th floor, of course you'll have the windows open because who's going to come? You have full confidence that nobody is going to enter your house. And of course, there may be some bars or something. So this monkey knows how to go monkey around, and they will train it, beat it to recognize gold, Rolex watches and all the expensive things. And they train the monkey to put things in a little bag, that backpack it's carrying. And then they send off this monkey, this small monkey, to do their dirty work. This requires a lot of intelligence, correct? So can this monkey exploiting robber, two papas, robbery and monkey animal exploitation, can this be considered dhira? No, clearly not a dhira. So it just doesn't, having a buddhi does not constitute or make you into a dhira. What makes a person into a dhira is the ability to harness the buddhi to fall back on knowing the constant as oneself, so that one becomes not a burden to Mother Earth, but one lives in harmony with everything, accepting whatever comes without the needing to change it or to compromise oneself, really. So therefore what? So therefore we have to be extremely careful in how we understand the term dhira. Dhira is not an intelligent person or a crafty person, or someone who has a PhD. May not be crafty, but has a lot of intelligence. No. That is only the dhi part. Dhira, when it comes, yes, they have buddhi. They have a genius IQ. All right. But dhira means the one who is able to harness the highly developed cognitive ability to understanding the truth of oneself, and who is emotionally prepared to do so. Because really speaking, we miss this basic understanding of oneself for lack of emotional preparation. This is where the miss takes place. These are the gaps of the Grand Canyon in the understanding, where something slips and falls because somehow I'm not prepared to face my own grandeur. I cannot, because all this time, life after life, I have assumed myself to be a beggar. Oh, I don't have. Oh, sad, oh no. And this oh no has to say oh or oh. That's a big movement of the hands. Oh is in awe, and oh is in total surrender to this awesome truth, to this understanding. It takes a certain largesse, it takes a certain self-love, self-esteem. It takes that, otherwise it doesn't happen. That self-love is very important. To cultivate self-love is self-compassion. Then only this drishti of the dhira, the vision of the dhira as everything is me, then sits in a heart that has room for itself. Usually what we find is that people who are extremely self-critical are drawn to the knowledge. I mean, who isn't self-critical? But really this knowledge draws a lot of perfectionists. I don't know why. We'll have to really think about that sometimes. People who cannot stand it to make a mistake, people who want to be perfect all the time, a wonderful, a very worthy endeavor. It's wonderful. And of course it draws such people. We are answering our own question, because that search for perfection is the drive. Where is the perfection? Yeah, it's you. You are that. So even if you are, walking like a tornado in the house, everything is coming down as you walk. You're knocking against this and dropping that, and everything breaks when you look at it even. Doesn't matter, because that is, that is inconstant. That which is constant is necessarily perfect, because the sources of imperfection we have seen. It cannot self-destruct, swanga apachaya. It is not relying on some other reserves of energy which it's depending on or drawing its being from. Kosha apachaya is not there. And guna apachaya, its attributes also are not something to be talked of. The history of Brahman, no such thing. So really speaking, I am that perfection upon which all my desires are centered. And this takes a self-love, self-forgiveness, and you just have to give yourself a hug every day. Yeah, to become adhira. And when one is adhira, then this is, this is very easy. This is a easy breezy knowledge. The knowledge is 9/10 preparation. 9/10 is the preparation. The knowledge is without effort. The preparation requires perspiration because of the resistance. That's all it is. The knowledge is effortless. It's like letting everything happen. It just happens. Knowledge happens. It's not based on your will. How long are you going to resist it, So you have to love yourself. And for that self-love, do whatever is necessary. From yoga to bhoga, if it is if it is directed towards getting the self-love and qualifying for the knowledge, then the actions have a different flavor. Yeah. Because I can do any kind of action, but the action is so that I have more self-esteem. I have more of a sense of who I am. Because even to discover who I am ultimately, in the relative space of that who I am in this universe of names and forms, I have to find a little place, a niche, where I can shine, where I can show off, where a few people I can call my own. I can boss over a dog, a cat and say sit, and it sits. Oh, wonderful. That also increases the self-esteem a little bit. At least the dog is listening. But if it's randomly followed without this understanding, then it doesn't lead to dhiratvam or the state of preparedness. But if it's followed with a mindfulness that I am doing this so that I find my place, so that I can really find my place, then it is very effective. So then what you see yourself everywhere. Who to hate? Whoever you did not like is you. Whoever you loved is you. There is no one to love, because it's all you. You are the source of that love. This knowledge is nothing but love. That's all it is. If really you say, what is Brahman? What is, somebody asked me a question. I think it was in Atlanta, maybe earlier. And what is Brahman in action? This was an interesting question. I could have said, and I did say, Brahman is not about action, that which does not act. But I knew what that person was asking. How do I see the dynamic nature of Brahman? What is there that I can actually look at? Because you say this cannot be looked at, cannot be done, whatever. What is something that I can sense? And we can just say the dynamic form of Brahman is love. Compassion, the unmanifest form. Love, the manifest form. That's all it is. It's all about love. And love starts with the self. And this knowledge is about the self. So without the relative self-love, the relative ability to forgive, the relative ability to overcome your own real or perceived faults and falls from grace, there is no redemption here. So that is where the work comes. So there is nothing to do in class. It's all homework. Yeah, you have to prepare. And the more you listen to class, the more there is an incentive to go and prepare. And the more you prepare, the more the class will start speaking and making sense to you. That's what it is. It will sink deeper and deeper because the preparation dismantles the resistance. Yeah, that is basically what happens. The preparation dismantles the resistance, and then when the resistance is not there, all there is this glorious you, which is in the form of love. And love doesn't mean he and showing the teeth all the time. That's not what we are talking about. It is more of a quiet outpouring of that oneness, that one senses, that one is. And even when it doesn't pour out, it is a quiet oneness. Otherwise you can have a roaring oneness, like even the ocean. Some days it's a roaring magnificence, a quiet magnificence. But what is common is magnificence. That's all it is. That's what it is. So this is what is dhira. And he says only for a dhira, the one who is cognitively ready, emotionally ready. And this is not one more reason, two more reasons to have a complex. I'm not cognitively ready, I'm not emotionally ready. Readiness is in whose hands? In whose hands is the readiness? Your own hands. Yeah, readiness is cultivated. Like a palate, Like, these, in North India, in Northeast India, where there are, in Assam, there is a tea tasters. There are these tea tasters. And what a life, what a karma, really. And from childhood, I don't know how it is now, but this was a hereditary job. The fathers used to teach the children. And so from childhood, that baby which was going to be groomed to be a tea taster was on a very specific diet from childhood. No too many spicy things, no too many sweet things, not at all. And you just kind of, the palate used to be cultivated. And even in adulthood, that person has to just, whole day, you sip one sip of tea, shake it all about and spit it out, because you can't drink it. You will be a caffeinated mess by the end of your life. You will be out on a limb somewhere. So you spit it out, Whole day you do that. And so that palate has to be so sensitive to discern the first flush, it's called, of Assam tea, which is the very tips of the leaves, dried in the sun, And Assam weather is just like Eugene, same. Sun is rare. So dried in the baby sun and then harvested immediately, just the tip. And then you have what is called the second flush. And then you have the commoners, tea, the third flush, which is tea, twigs, root, fruit, everything just dried and ground up. And you have to be able to taste these various flushes and, without getting flustered or flushed yourself. And you can't just sit and say, I can't distinguish between the two. It's a whole lifetime of preparation. From the childhood, desisting from certain eatables to only eating certain kinds of things. You cultivate the palate for that. So too, you have to cultivate the palate for the taste of Brahman to emerge. You have to desist from certain actions. You have to bring on certain actions, and then you have to let go of certain others in order to cultivate the palate for the preparedness. So when that tasteless, the one without a taste, is finally placed on the palate, the recognition is there as this is myself alone. So therefore, this lifetime of a committed lifestyle, a lifestyle that is based on a series of commitments, this is very much is for the preparation. So the lifestyle is for the sake of the vision alone. I try to find my place for myself. For the sake of the vision alone, I develop self-love. For the sake of the vision alone, all my jobs, all my work, everything is there. For the sake of this love alone, I practice cultivating a certain preparedness. And the preparedness is the practice, the lifestyle is the practice, which is really for the sake of this vision. Then only paripashyanti, sarvataha sarvasya atma ahameva, I am the truth of everything. It becomes very easy to see. And so there is no need to defend oneself. Kathopanishad says, na kaschit gopaitum ichhati, dhiraha, same dhira. There is no need to protect yourself. There is no need to defend yourself. There is no defense. And then what? Then there is no offense either, because what are you going to do? Everything is you. And then Sarvatmakatvat. Okay, then Yadevam Lakshanam Bhutayonim. So this is Dhira. Then what does the Dhira see? The Dhira has a double vision, triple vision simultaneously, or rather double vision. What is the double vision of the Dhira? Sees two in the place of one? No, far from it. Sees the constant as oneself, and then what? And these other notes that come and go also sees them as a outpouring of that constant without being disturbed by the notes. There are no notes of dissonance in the life of the Dhira, because every note is an outpouring of that constant. So really speaking, there is no aberration. So the Dhira is one in the place of acceptance of what is. That is the first thing that the Dhira sees. And what is the second thing? I said double vision. The second thing is that the Dhira is in touch with and identified as the cause of the universe. Yeah. So the Dhira has no sense of powerlessness and victimization. If you are identified with the cause of the universe, then there is no victimization. Who is going to attack you? When? How? There is nothing other than you. No, but I have a human body. Yes, you have a human body. Thank God for that. Thank God you have a human body, you could see it. Yeah, but I have pains and sorrows. What has pains and sorrows? Mind and body. Are you the mind and body? Yes. Then you are not a Dhira. The one, simple. If you say I am the mind and body, you are not Dhira. You say body is me, mind is me, but I transcend all bodies, all minds. I am that constant light of all lights that inhabits and alights on every body and every mind without being any single thing. I alight on every body, I cast a light on all minds, and then I am that light of all lights that is uniquely myself. Just like the ocean, if the ocean says I am as good as this small wave, then it has to wave goodbye to this knowledge. But if the ocean firmly stays where it belongs, I am oceanic, then I can own up all the waves, miserable and magnificent, without feeling either miserable or sad or afraid. I can own all of them up. So like this, the Dhira has that capacity to see that I am not just the sum total of this body-mind sense complex. So the body, what is happening to the body is localized, what is happening to the mind is localized, what is happening to the senses are localized and not internalized. So it is localization versus internalization. If you don't localize, you automatically internalize. This is happening to me. So there is no sense of victimization for the Dhira. And Adi Shankara says, that is why the second definition of Brahman, the first definition was what? That which is not describable, that which is I, which is here, which is now, which is in the form of that cognition of the I, which is that sentient, limitless knowledge, that consciousness. That is the first definition of Brahman. And when you resonate with that constant notes of Brahman as Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, there is a relief and a release. But the powerlessness can come back. Why? Because the vision is not complete. And what do I need to know to complete the vision? I have to know I am Bhuta Yonihi. I am the cause of this universe. Because that is what attacks the powerlessness. Because a lot of Western Vedantins, Western writers of Vedanta like that Eckhart Tolle, yeah. The Vedanta takes a toll there because this Bhuta Yoni is not there. This much you can kind of intuit. Somehow with your own sukshmatvam, subtlety, you can get to the place of saying that there is something constant, there is the witness which is unafflicted, unaffected by all that. Up till then you can get. But that witness has to be repatriated to redefining oneself as the cause of the universe, that takes the Shastra. Without Shastra, you cannot get there. And that is that completion. Otherwise, you're always filling in the blank. Otherwise, you always have a dual life. I'm the witness, but sometimes I'm witless. It doesn't take much to slip from witness to witless. Spelling wise and even in, identity wise. Doesn't take too long. But this is what is the cherry on top of the vision. The completion of the vision is that I am Bhuta Yoni. I am the source of the universe. And then nothing threatens. If you say I am the witness of everything, in other words, the wave doesn't need to just know that it is the water. Fine. It may lose a complex of feeling that I am a wave. Partially it will lose the complex. But it has to know I am the ocean. That is where the loss of samsaritvam takes place. Samsara goes when you know that you are the cause of the universe. These are the two standpoints from which the definition of Brahman is made. And the first standpoint is the source of the I. And what is the source of the I? That formless, nameless, self-revealing sentience which at once answers to the question, who am I? Am I here? Am I now? Do I exist? Yes, yes, yes. That self-revealing consciousness, the first standpoint of the definition of Brahman, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. And from another standpoint is that which is the cause of the universe. But why do you bring the universe in? Up till now you were fine. It was going so well. Where are you sitting? Huh? Inside the universe or out of the universe? If you are out of the universe, you are also out of your mind. If you say you are out of your universe, then I don't have to talk to anybody who is out of mind. Okay? Yeah. Then what will you answer? No, I'm in the universe. Hello, wake up and smell the universe. That's all I have to say. You have to deal with the manifest reality. It's not just enough to know I am the constant. But then all these constant jabs are coming at you. You have to deal with those nabs and jabs and understand the truth of yourself while living in this manifest, variegated and extremely complex universe. You have to deal with the extremely complex universe by losing the complex that you are a product of this universe. That you are actually the source. You are the cause, not the effect. Because the temptation is to see it as the effect. I am the witness, so what? I still have a human body, and this is what New Age Enlightenment people say. This is what they say. Whenever there is any problem, they take recourse, they take Shaunagati in the human body, which is opposite of Vedanta. Here we say, transcend the body, just like you say, touch wood. You transcend the table, you transcend the form, and see the wood. You don't have to break down the table or hug a lumber yard, to say touch wood. You don't have to become a tree hugger. You can say touch wood right here. You transcend everything. And sometimes people say touch wood. And you transcend the brain cells and see the truth of the brain cells. So you don't have to get out of this body. And you don't have to see the body as a liability. And that's why this whole New Age nonsense, New Age nuisance. And what is this New Age nuisance? Oh, I am enlightened, so I'm going to manifest my own reality. I'm going to think abundance, and abundance is going to come. Why? Suddenly people will start feeling like giving you money. Are they out of their mind? They are also wishing that you give them money. Okay? Then they will say, this is another part of it, I can manifest my reality. And of course they cannot, because they see that there are forces that have committed themselves to not manifesting this person's wishes and desires. And those forces are called forces because they come with a force. That's why it's called forces, because they force you to be in a place of surrender and devotion and reverence, because they control everything. They puppet you, starting with the planets. Saturn always returns. Don't forget. At 30, 60, 90, it keeps returning every 30 years. That's why it's called Saturn return. Yeah, that's all it knows how to do is come back and cause havoc in this fellow's life. So here is Saturn, here is Jupiter, and that Jupiter is also a problem sometimes. And Venus is always having Rahu along with it, Venus means abundance and everything. Rahu means constriction and fear. Venus is creative expression. Rahu is creative constriction and fear. And both of them are happily in the house of creative expression. This is what it is. So you see very quickly that even though I am the light of all lights, I have this body, I have this mind, I have this, and I cannot disown this body. I'd like to get out of the body and have an out-of-body experience, but that's not happening right now. That's not happening right now. And so, I cannot bypass the universe. And if I cannot bypass the universe, I cannot write off the universe. I cannot say that there is no universe and there are no forces that impact this embodiment. I cannot say that. So if I cannot say that, but what I can say, thanks to the Shastra, and this is the beauty of the Shastra, hats off to the Shastra. If you can't beat them, join them. That's what it is. You join the force of the universe and you team up with the force and say, I am that force. I am the only force to be reckoned with. That means there is no more reckoning for me. This is the completes the vision. The wave, to lose its miserable patina, does not have to just be equated with water. It has to know I am the ocean. Then that waveness, that misery goes, the fear goes, the sorrow goes, the self-doubt goes, everything goes, the constriction goes. So the second standpoint of the definition of Brahman as the source of the universe, as all the laws of the universe, as the law and the manifester of the law, as the creator of the universe. As the creator means what? As myself, as the creator of the universe. This is very, very important. And here is where the grandeur is. Otherwise, what is the Satyam Jnanam Anantam? Boring. Where is the grandeur? Everybody wants Ishatvam, overlordship. Everybody wants to overlord, like even the family dog at least. Yeah. Sometimes family members fight over who the dog loves most, who the dog listens to the most. And the siblings will be saying, no, they listen to me. No, it listens to me. So that is Ishatvam, and the lack of Ishatvam is Samsaritvam. This is what it is. That power, one needs a certain power. And not knowing that I am the source of the universe, I settle for this local power by standing for elections. So that is what it is. Not knowing that. But when you know that you are the ultimate source of all power, then there is nothing to aspire for. Because this is the original desire, is to be all knowledge, all powerful, all might, everything, all at once. And here is a way. And that is why we need the Shastra. Toli is not enough. Yeah. Toli is only half the picture. And half knowledge is dangerous. Yes. And another thing with Eckhart, Toll, I don't know, at least what I have read, I don't see him, crediting any of this ancient knowledge, indigenous knowledge. I may be mistaken, but from what I have read, I don't see any credit coming to some bodies of knowledge that are 5,000 years old, 10,000 years old. And if there is at least a nodding credit, one can say, okay, this has been built from there. But there isn't. And that is a place of sensitivity to all people from colonized heritages. This is what was done to our countries. This is what was done to our, possessions, our knowledge bases. And so this is a point of, this is a very sensitive point. a little nod to the Upanishad. Yes, this is also put in the Upanishad. I mean, even if he had said that, it's not even also, but still, even a nodding acquaintance or a quotation or a citation would have, exalted, would have made his own work exalted. But here, it's only half the knowledge, because here in the Mahavakya Tat Tvam Asi, we have 3 words. What are they? Tat, Tvam, and then Asi. Asi means you are now, not in time in the future. Tat means the cause of the universe. Tvam means you. So each of these words are a basis for inquiry. This Tattvamasi is not a belief. It's a product of inquiry. It's my understanding as a result of inquiry. Tattvamasi teacher says, you say Aham Brahmasmi. That's what you say. You don't say Tattvamasi as a student unless you are teaching someone else. So Tattvamasi is what the teacher says. And so each word has to be inquired and understood into. So we have what is called Tvam Pada Vichara. Tvam Pada means the word you. Vichara, inquiry. Inquiry into the Tvam Pada, inquiry into the word you yields up to Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That there is a constant, that I am the Sakshi, the witness of the various manifold universes of emotions and states within that I sense within the body mind sense complex. This is what is called Tvam Pada Vichara. But like I said, that's only half knowledge. That's only half, because it doesn't give a sense of accomplishment. What has Brahman in the form of Satyam Jnanam accomplished? What has it accomplished? Nothing. It has not authored any books. It has not done anything to, come in who's who. You will not find B for Brahman in who's who. What has it done? It doesn't act. It doesn't have limbs. It doesn't destroy itself, or nothing can destroy it. Big deal. Let it be there. Even a rock is got the same qualities. It doesn't get destroyed easily. It's got pravaha nityatvam. Okay, big deal. What can it do? Nothing. So that's why the equation is incomplete, and the equation has to be completed, which has to resolve my own sense of incompletion. And my own sense of incompletion is due to feeling powerless, due to feeling a sense of lack, due to feeling victimized by everything that I see as other than me. So it's not enough to say everything is me. Then I'll have a big headache. Everybody's headache will become my headache. That's why it's called migraine. It's not somebody else's grain. It is migraine. Big migraine I get. So that is not enough to become universally empathetic. That means you feel sad. When everyone feels sad, there has to be another part which has to be inquired into. The word tat has to be inquired into. What is that? If that is an actionless blob of consciousness, then I don't want to have anything to do with that. Knowing I am a blob of consciousness, prajnana ghanam, what is achieved? Nothing. I sit at home and then I'm not supposed to even act. Oh, no action. Abhi kya karenge? What shall I do? That what shall I do question still prevails, which means the knowledge is only half. I suffer from a sense of timeless victimization. And the timeless self-victimization of self-critique brought on by this original problem, perhaps that's what in the Bible they call original sin, of ajnanam, self-ignorance. And that ignorance finally resolves when that self is repatriated with the cause of the universe. Everything that I think I am under the rubric of this force, I am told I am indeed that force. All the forces, I am. The one that controls the forces, I am. And so this is what is called Tat Pada Vichara. And Asi Pada Vichara, Asi means what is this lifestyle that will help me understand this? How to live and assimilate this knowledge? How to be? How to continue gaining this knowledge? all this has to be inquired into for this Mahavakya, this sentence to shine in the mind. So the modern Vedanta is only Tvampada Vichara, is only inquiry into I. Okay, that's a start, but that's not the end. Yeah. So what has to come now? Tat Pada Vichara, which is going to come in the next mantra. And I am going to just finish reading the Bhashya and Adi Shankara's little bit of introduction. Idrisham Aksharam Yaya Vidyaya Adhigamyate Sa Para Vidya iti Samudayarthaha Bhutayoni Aksharam Ityuktam Tat Katham Bhutayonitvam Ityuchyate Prasiddha Drishtantaihi. So 2 sentences concluding mantra number 6. Adi Shankara says Idrisham. Idrisham means Idrishau, Idrishaha. So Idrisham, second case. Idrisham Aksharam. So this Akshara, what was called as Akshara, the indeclinable I, Yaya Vidyaya, by which knowledge is Adhigamyate, is understood, that is called the ultimate knowledge, Para Vidya. This has to be taken as the sum total of the answer. This mantra 6 is the answer to that question. You know, that Shaunaka said, what is this knowing which everything is known? And so that this knowing which everything is as well as known is described in mantra 6. Now there is one word which is what? Bhutayoni. What is this Bhutayoni? He doesn't explain too much here. He just explains the one who sees it as Dhira. And why? Because Shankara practices economy of words. He knows that he has already read the Upanishad. He knows what is to come. So he saves the Bhutayoni for the big reveal next weekend. And the source of the entire universe, the cause of the universe. So this is the Bhutayoni. He says Bhutayoni. So Akshara has 2 definitions. One is Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Satchidatma, Satchidananda, and then which is called Tatastha Swarupa Lakshana. And then here the Tatastha Lakshana is going to be talked about, the definition from the standpoint of the manifest universe as the cause of the universe is going to be talked about. And Tat Katham Bhutayoni, what is this Bhutayoni, is described, he says, Prasiddhaihi Drishtantaihi, through a very famous simile and a very famous example. And what is this example? The example is that of the trusty old spider. Yeah. Spider has inspired so many people. Yeah. Not too long ago, Robert Bruce was going to not fight, and he went into a cave retreating from a difficult war, and then he saw a spider struggling to come up and down, and then he went back to fight. He gained strength, correct? And then long ago, the sages saw the spider and then had this thought about it. Yathornanabhihi Srijate Grinhate Cha Yatha Prithivyam Oshadhayas Sambhavanti Yatha Sataf Purushat Keshalomani Tathaksharat Sambhavatiha Vishvam. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Very nice. nice. All of you listened so nicely. Thank you. Any questions are there? Yes.
Swamiji, there is no object of love. I'm not an object of love.
Yeah. You're not an object of love. You're the subject, that is love. It's all about love. And you know, when Pujya Swamiji was in the hospital for such a long time, people used to come to see him and it was hard for him to talk. And whoever went, he said, be unconditional love. That is the truth of this knowledge. That's what he told repeatedly everybody. And looks like there is something online. How do we say that readiness is in our own hands? As often as many things are understood, yet the knowledge has not become an owning up, and owning up happens and cannot be made to happen. Well, that is partly a belief that comes out of one's own self-critique of oneself. That is the belief. That I am not, something has to come. That is the victimization, partly. And that it's not, just you having that thought. Everybody is secretly having that thought. But you, like Arjuna, have been able to voice it for all of us. It is good. So how can I, be ready for this knowledge, because I'm not getting it, Something else must be in place. So the readiness is based on will, because it's based on karma. For everything one has to be ready. Even for a so-called miracle, one has to be ready, otherwise you miss the miracle. The other day for 5 minutes there was a gorgeous rainbow. Amazing. It was just so amazing. And, by the time I turned to look at it again, it was gone. Just 5 minutes it lasted. That's the miracle. And the readiness is to make the inner space to be able to appreciate that. And of course, a rainbow is always very spectacular, but miracles come in ordinary garbs. That I can walk is a miracle. That I can talk is a miracle. Everything that I take for granted is a miracle. Brahman, which I take mostly for granted all the time, is a miracle. That I am able to hear is a miracle. That if I don't have readiness, I can cognize that readiness is a miracle. That itself is a miracle. So really speaking, the readiness, you have to surmount a few odds to cultivate it. Otherwise it's not fun. If you get everything easily, oh yeah, Brahman, Satyam, Jnanam, Anam, big deal. Then what? Yeah. It's not valued. I'm the cause of the universe. Yeah, okay. Next. There's no sense of fulfillment. Fulfillment comes when that readiness, the readiness comes from being able to handle the curveball that nature and the universe throws. Yeah. And catch it each time. In cricket we have this term googly. Yeah, that curved ball is called a googly. Maya bowls a googly. And you have to be able to be you have to be able to catch that ball. You have to be able to bat it. You have to be able to play. You have to, run a few innings to gain that maturity. And yes, certain things, the readiness, if you have that kind of a attitude that everything is in the hands of Bhagavan, if I'm supposed to be ready, it will come. Then have that attitude towards the next meal. Don't do anything to produce the next meal. Sit in your room, and if I'm supposed to eat, let it come. Then I will accept that. Have the same thing. Everything is equal. Readiness, food, everything will come. No, but we find that some certain things we pursue avidly. And when it comes to readiness, knowledge, we sit back and wait to be rescued. No. The boat of rescue you have to climb into. It comes, yes, but you have to climb into. And a certain hardship, that hardship has to be transformed into the readiness. Just like from the ore, you take out the diamond from the diamond mine, and it's got all kinds of other metals sticking to it. It's got dust, it's got crud. And then you smelt away everything and the diamond remains. And that heat, you are being purified by karma. Yes. And you are being purified by the classes that you are listening to. Jnana agni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute. First you are purified by karma. Then you are purified by jnana, the knowledge. And all the ifs, buts, fears, sense of incompleteness becomes ashes. But first I use my action to prepare myself for this knowledge. Everything I do, I see in it a preparation. So the readiness is in our hands. Just like, whether you listen like a teenager, you call out to the teenager, they never answer the first time. If you are lucky and if you are having good karma, they will answer the 6th time. The first 5 times what happens? They were present in the room, but their mind was elsewhere. Right? Yeah. So here, to bring the mind back is in your hands. Distraction of course happens. Difficulties happen. But to stay committed, you have to exercise a little bit of, you have to move the hands and legs a little bit. Yeah. So I'm really happy you asked this question. Yeah, that's all it is. You just keep yourself in a place of being able to assimilate. And then if you feel like you're not able to, then you pray. That is also an action. Don't forget that. If you feel helpless, that in the wake of this knowledge I'm having so much resistance, so much fear, I want to run away 1 mile away from the class. If you fear that and if you feel that, run away, but pray running. As you are running, pray. Then what happens? The legs slow down, the hands slow down, and you're running in slow motion. And then you say, what am I doing? I'm laughing at myself. And then you reverse. And then you come back to for the knowledge again. That's all. Where will you run? Wherever you go, there you are. And if it's not one thing, it's the mother. And that's all it is. You have to, this is what it takes. It takes to be in a place of readiness and to do everything to be in a place of readiness, including acknowledging my own helplessness, owning it up and praying to be released from that helplessness. That prayer is an action. So while praying, you're not sitting quietly, you're acting on your own behalf. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Namah Shivaya. Oh, that's very good. You had a good karma day, Dottie. Wonderful.